Top 10 manufacturers, the most recalls. Number 10, Nissan with 15. Number 9, BMW with 19. Number 8, Tesla with 20. And Tesla does a lot of things that probably should be recalls, but aren't. But that's notwithstanding. Number 7, Hyundai with 22. Then Kia with 24. Number 5, GM with 32. But Ford has by far the most vehicles sold on the list. So, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Vuori. I love Vuori. They make the best activewear. The performance apparel is perfect if you're sick and tired of traditional old workout gear. Everything is designed to work out in, but it doesn't look or feel like it. It's so comfortable, you want to wear it all the time. In fact, I do. Seriously, it's more comfortable than whatever you're wearing right now. Like you may have noticed with me in my videos that I went from wearing like lots of like logo tees and stuff and like swag merch that people gave me for going to their car events and whatnot. And now I only wear these like solid color gray, black, and blue t-shirts. Those are all Vuori. Like I've literally thrown out every t-shirt in my closet and replaced it with the Vuori t-shirts. The Strato fabric, that's the one I use. And I love it because it's soft, it breathes, and most importantly, it is the best shirt I have ever found for not showing sweat. Like sometimes in the summer, we're filming on the mountain. It gets really hot and it gets sweaty. And I am a sweaty person. It sucks. My genetics got hosed, but the Vuori t-shirts do not show sweat. It's amazing. Even if I do wear them when I'm working out, which I do, because like I said, they're my only shirts. They are amazing at hiding the sweat when I'm at the gym or when I'm going to Pilates. It's great. You can use it for literally any activity, whether we're talking about running, training, yoga, Pilates, weights, elliptical machine, but also you can use it for lounging. You can use it for errands. It can just be a t-shirt or I like literally have thrown one on under a blazer and that's like sufficient for going out. Granted, I'm not exactly a model of fashion, but it works for literally any activity you could think of. I've got the Vuori hoodies. They are badass. They're soft. They're so great to wear on planes. They keep me really warm. They're awesome. Vuori's offsetting their carbon footprint 100%. They're reducing and offsetting 100% of their plastic footprint past 2019. They're using better sustainable materials for their products and empowering your best active life, and they are great. The best-selling products are the men's core shirt. That's a the core short, excuse me. That's a lined athletic short. You can use it for every sport. The joggers, men's Sunday performance jogger, available as long pants or short. Super, super comfortable. And like I said, the Strato t-shirts are my jam. I've literally bought 25 of them. Vuori is an investment in your happiness. They're offering 20% off your first purchase. Get some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing on the planet at vuori.com/TST. Now, here's the hard part. It's spelled V-U-O-R-I. Okay, so it's pronounced Vuori, but it's spelled Vuori, VUORI.com/TST. 20% off your first purchase, free shipping off orders on $75, and free returns. Go to vuori.com/TST and discover the versatility of Vuori clothing. I love this brand. They make great, great stuff. Also brought to you today in part by Off the Record. We love Off the Record because right now I'm reading a book called Policing the Open Road, right? And I'm not very far into the book, but what it pretty much shows is how such an enormous percentage of the fines, penalties, and negative interactions that we have with the police are surrounding moving violations of some kind, cars, traffic, etc. And we know that it is an economic ecosystem. It's not just about safety. Sure, some of these rules are about safety, but a great percentage of them are about raising money, and they're raising your money. And so what do? when you get pulled over, when you are ticketed for anything, and I'm talking about anything big or small, you do not plead guilty. You do not just send in a check. You go to Off the Record, and that's offtherecord.com/TST, or you could download the Off the Record app and use code TST10. Off the Record has qualified attorneys that cover 97% of the U.S. population. Off the Record will set you up with one of their partner attorneys that will fight that ticket and get those points off of your driving record. That means lower fines. It means your insurance company doesn't find out and the insurance doesn't go up for years and years. It means you don't have to go to court. They'll go to court for you if it's one of those deals. Sometimes you send them the ticket, you pay their fee, and you never hear literally anything again. I mean, it's a great system. I've sent them quite a few tickets and literally have never heard back on a bunch of them. So it's great. I love it. It just makes it gone. Now, 97%, it's not 100%. There might be a couple places here and there that Off the Record does not cover, but like I said, 97% of the population of the U.S. can be helped by Off the Record. So go to offtherecord.com/TST, make an account now so you have it ready. Or download the Off the Record app and use code TST10 on the Off the Record app. 10% off all legal services for the next 3 years. I think it's like pretty much indefinitely at this point, but at least I can guarantee the next 3 years that code is good for. So that's why you should download the app now or go to Off the Record now and make an account, offtherecord.com/TST, because you never know when you're going to need it and you don't want to have to go back and dig for this information later. Make the account now. That way, if you get pulled over and ticketed, you will be confident that you have the resources to deal with it and get those points off your record. And of course, last but not least, if you are tired of listening to me read these ads, patreon.com/thesmokingtire, the Smoking Tire Podcast. Patreon.com/the Smoking Tire Podcast is where you want to be. Starting at just $3 a month, you can listen to our show on the live stream and ask questions of me, Zach, and our guests for the show. Suggest topics of discussion for the show. For just a little more money, you can get an ad-free listening experience for the audio and video versions of our show. For a little bit more than that, you can get the show the same day it's recorded, as opposed to waiting until the Tuesday or Thursday schedule. And for just a little bit more than that, you can get the Pro Driver Access, which is everything above, plus an extra 9th show every month just for you. Even on months where we go on holiday and we take a week off of podcasting, which happens a couple times a year, you still get the Pro Driver show. So you get extra Smoking Tire Podcast. And of course, all of that is at patreon.com/the Smoking Tire Podcast. Alrighty, everybody. On this episode of the show, Zach and I are back in the studio. We have just returned from taking the first post-break-in canyon drive in the Frozen Berry Metallic Demand 4.5 Spyder, and it was a good one. Also, we talk about the Mercedes EQE I have been driving. We talk about the most recalled car brands of 2022. Go through some of our year in review, 2022 year in review, and answer some amazing questions from our Patreon patrons. It's a crew show on the Smoking Tire Podcast. Hello. Hi, everybody. I wonder if the rest of the country is it just LA where people don't do anything between Christmas and New Year's? I mean, I realize that's a inside-y question, but I don't remember when I lived in New York that the time between Christmas and New Year's was quite as dead as it is in this city.
You mean dead as in like there's no celebration
like,
of
no,
it?
No.
Or...
I mean like people don't do anything. People don't work like this. It seems weird. It seems like people don't like, they don't work, but they also don't do much like in-town recreation. Like they travel, but like, you know, you'd think that like people would be using their cars here at our storage facility.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But Good Vibes today was pretty busy.
Good Vibes
so those
was
people
pretty
were using
busy.
Their cars.
Yeah, that's true. Good Vibes was busy today.
This week feels weird because it's like, is it holiday vacation? But like we're working, and Sarah's working a little bit, but also from like some people have to go to work normally. Some people there's like a hybrid.
Yeah.
And some people have it off like it's college.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do.
Yeah. And as like a Jew, you don't do anything on Christmas. And then like someone who has friends, you don't do anything on New Year's. Or someone who has no friends, you don't really do anything on New Year's. Like I don't know. I have like no plans really to do anything. And because a lot of my staff like does have family, I take the time to like cover. Like I cover the shop, you know, so that my general manager can go like be with his kids during this time because they're off of school. And so like I'm working like a full schedule this week, but no one else is. Like ran the shop yesterday all day and was fucking dead.
Well, one of our patrons says that it's everywhere, dog. I'm off until the 9th.
All right, well,
so
there we go.
Yeah, I don't know. I took my vacation the week before Christmas, so I don't know. I don't mind doing stuff this week.
My vacation wasn't even a vacation. My vacation was like...
Oh, your road trip.
My road trip, like, it was vacation adjacent, but it was like work, though. Like, that's what the job is to do that, so...
Yeah, scouting seems like a chill road trip, but you're constantly paying attention to roads, cross streets, camber, tarmac quality, like taking photos, so it's pretty... You have to be pretty alert.
Yeah, like, it's not, like, hard, but it's definitely not quite vacation.
Right.
You're not just wandering aimlessly. Like, we had to do the trip as if, like, it was the trip, meaning, like, we had to leave the hotel at the time, like, it was a vacation, you sleep in, you leave it on the fuck you want. Like, we had to leave at the time that the event will leave.
Oh.
On the day, you know, we did it the days of the week. Like, the event is Tuesday to Friday. We did it on those days. Left at the times that you leave so that you can anticipate traffic or if there's a construction. So it's like, it's not, don't get me wrong, like it was a nice road trip and the weather was good and we tasted some wines and stayed in nice hotels. But like you're still somehow on someone else's schedule. Mm-hmm. So it's not vacation. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel like vacation, even though I think that technically was. I guess I'm going on vacation.
You are.
In January, 10th. Which won't even like vacation because it's with my parents.
Oh yeah,
you know, going somewhere with your parents isn't like, that's not vacation.
I agree. That's why Sarah and I's vacation, we went by ourselves.
That's a different kind of work.
We're like we've seen our families twice. Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah.
It's my dad's 70th birthday, so we bought him a good gift.
You did.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Very excited.
He's not gonna listen to this. You could probably tell people, right?
Yeah, if you know my dad, don't tell him what I got him. We got him a blunderbuss, which is
so cool, like
a gun from the 1700s.
I think it's like is it the first gun?
The brand of it was Brabar. It was a Brabar blunderbuss from London. I think it was John Brabar was the name of it.
It's so funny. They're short and they flare out at the end like a trumpet.
Yeah, it's like a fucking pirate gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't work. It's real.
Is it handheld like this? Or
no,
is
it looks like a short rifle.
Gotcha.
That one, yeah. Look up, add the search term Brabar. B-R-A, what does it say, Looper? B-R-A-B-A-R. Not me.
Damn it.
What are you doing? What's wrong with your keyboard?
I'm trying to hit up to go back.
Why can't you? B-R-A-B-A-R. Yeah. There should be. No? This computer is having all kinds of fucking weird shit.
The enter key doesn't work anymore.
Going on.
That's not important.
I don't know. It seems to have some real trouble finding anything.
Well, now it's in there. So is this it?
It looks like that, yeah. But it's from England.
Oh.
It's I don't know.
There's probably not. Maybe there's not many photos of this.
Yeah, it's a short rifle that has a flintlock and it's got a brass barrel that flares out at the end, and it's fucking cool.
Oh, so it looks a lot.
It looks like a lot like like that one. Yeah, it looks like the one you just had.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really cool.
What a good gift.
It's like it's a hang on the wall kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not really a. You wouldn't even try to make it shoot. But
home defense weapon.
It's not a good home defense. I think you have to light it with like a match or something.
I think it looks like flintlock, right? So you need
It is a flintlock. So you need a flint, you need powder, you need a packet,
you gotta bite something open with your mouth.
Yeah. Bite the cork off the powder,
right,
the powder
spit that out
thing.
And dump it in.
Yeah.
You need Mel Gibson there with a ponytail.
But there's that that weird store around the corner from here that sells all these ancient guns and shit. And the guys there are fucking nuts. They're the kind of people that
sell ancient guns.
Yeah, and there's also 3 of them, and you could tell they've been in the same shop for too long together. You know,
they never leave.
Like there should be a reality show about these people. And they've got stuff from like Japan and fucking. So there was a guy in there really, really looking at samurai swords, and taking it very seriously. Well, he had 4 or 5 swords laid out, looking at all the intricacies, and I'm just kind of like, that one, wrap it up.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so I think it's.
He's like, this one was more accurate. Like, I'm not shooting it. I don't care.
John Brabar, I think was the guy's name. I don't fucking know. I think it was or Babar. I don't know. It was something like that. It was a. I have it written down. I have the important part of it written down. Sort of a famous gun maker from London, which is it's got a date on it. It's got the manufacturer. It's fucking cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah,
and, you
yeah.
know, your dad, he does over-under skeet shooting.
Yeah, he
so it
collects
seems like
shotguns.
It's in his wheelhouse.
And so it's this is kind of a good thing that you can like put that one down there. See the one on the little stand? That. It looks just like that. God,
it would be fun to shoot one of these. I got to watch a YouTube video later just to see how, like, what's the spread? Because
it's a big
it flares
spread.
out so much at the end.
I think you just shove fucking anything in there, nails or rocks. Like,
really?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's normal shot. I think it's just whatever
so you could
got.
use fishing weights, which is like what shot is, or you could just dump anything in there and it just propels it.
Sure.
That's why a lot of people lived through gunshot wounds back then, because it's like, oh man, you stuffed it with mints. That's not going to do it.
Yeah. Just put sand in there or something. Like, I don't know.
Too much flour.
Just a cloud. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of fun. I think he'll be into that.
That's very fun.
That's a good gift. And there's turns out when it's that old, there's no regulations. You can just ship that to somebody, and it's not
really. No FFL to FFL.
No, none of that shit. He said except New Jersey. He said he can't ship to New Jersey. Besides that, anything goes. They don't give a fuck. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Is it plugged, like, no. So it can't show? So, all right, so it could theoretically be made to work.
He said it doesn't, like the flintlock mechanism doesn't really like work. Like it's kind of like seized. Like you'd have to.
You can't click snap it.
No, like you'd have to send it to someone who could potentially make it shoot. It's not plugged. It's real, but like it doesn't. It's
cool.
It's a wall mount.
I mean, I wouldn't shoot. I feel like it would explode and you.
Who knows what the metallurgy like? It's 300 years old.
No,
like,
you get a string and you mount it to something and you pull it.
I don't know, but it looked cool on the wall.
Yeah, that's real cool.
That's exciting, but not as exciting as the first Canyon drive in the Boxster today.
Dude,
post break-in Canyon run. I did put the morning photo on the gram.
Excelente.
That we got treated because we drove up the hill and it was just so foggy and gray. We actually didn't even know if we would be able to make a video because it was wet and gray and you couldn't see anything. And then not gray, but white out. It was a white out of fog.
Visibility was like 100 feet.
Yeah, it was not good.
Yeah.
You couldn't drive fast. But then we got just past Mount Wilson, where you're up above the clouds at about 4,500 feet, and we were treated to the most magnificent sea of fog sunrise.
It was incredible. It's on the Instagram, and it was
so great. Magnus stopped by to say hello. He was on his way up. There was good vibes going on, but we did get to make a video. Fortunately, it's not like bonsai balls to the wall speed because the road was damp and the car is on our compound tires, and it would be deeply irresponsible to go bonsai balls to the wall. And one person in a BMW was over their limit of grip and got a little squirrely in front of me. Actually, that person came up to me at Good Vibes and apologized for that.
They did?
They did.
Oh, good. Nice.
But still, got to experience the car, full throttle pulls, run it to red line, spend a significant time above 5,000 RPM, and damn, that is a fine quality automobile.
The sound
sounds crazy.
Is amazing. It's just amazing. There's so much to it. There's so many like different notes happening, and it revs up so fucking fast.
Yeah.
Like
the light flywheel.
The downshifting from like the auto rev match would just go, let's say it's going from 4 to 5, but I would tap with my foot and it would jump from 4 to 7.
Yeah.
It'd overshoot it, but then it would return so quickly, it didn't actually like over rev and like lurch it at all.
Yeah.
It's
it would
amazing.
catch it on the way back
It's
down.
amazing how quickly it revs.
It's a totally different sound. That's but Tim called it a thumper, which I think is accurate. Bigger bore, it has a different bass note than a GT3 does. It's actually, if any of you remember the Sharkworks GT3 RS I drove, the 4.2, it does sound kind of like that, but it's louder actually.
Well, because the bores are bigger and the stroke is longer, right? So it's the amount of time in between explosions, I think, is slightly longer,
right?
And it's gonna have a deeper sound. But man, when at idle, it sounds like a 930 race car or something.
Kind of, yeah. There's times it sounds air cooled for sure, but it's very smooth. It's really, really fast. It goes like a motherfucker. Third and fourth gear pull so hard, and it's really nice. The chassis doesn't need anything. It's set up perfectly.
Yep.
The lightweight wheels feel really nice. I mean, you'd have to go back to back with a stock one to really feel the difference. But the car in general drives really, really good.
Full throttle, it doesn't feel like there's too much engine for the chassis. It's not like it squats back an extra bit. It just accelerates. It feels really smooth, really safe. And I think that tells me that, as we knew, like the chassis was ready for more power and could handle plenty of it with no changes.
Yeah, I mean, we were up at 4,000 feet, but if you're down at sea level and you hold it at 4,000 RPM in second gear and smash it, it will try to break the tires loose in second, and then it'll chirp them when you go to third.
Good.
With the traction control on. You probably lose some power up at the top, but you lose power in every car up on the mountain, and so even up there, it still feels crazy fast. It's fucking Rick DeMann can build an engine. It's so nice, and the short gears make it doesn't feel like you've changed it so much that you're shifting too much, or that it's not like cruising at the right RPM. Like, you change it just enough that you can use a little more third and a little more fourth in the canyons, but it's not like a wildly different car. And then you can still put it in sixth and cruise around normally on the highway, and you can still use first normally off the line.
The gear
really
chain
nice.
is... If you're out there and you have a Spyder or a Cayman and you're keeping it for like a really long time,
the gears.
The gears are so worth it.
Yeah.
It transforms the car. It really does.
You can just use a lot more of the power band because you just get to it faster. The second and third in the stock car are so long.
Well, as you said, like, what's the point of having a manual if you don't have to shift it? Because the gears are so long. It's basically you can do that whole mountain in third gear in the stock car. And maybe not even the top of third gear except for certain places. And then when you're out of the power band, when you're lower down in the RPM range, it just feels slow. The cars feel slow.
Yeah, and my car makes 100 pounds of torque more than stock at 3,500 RPM. So even if the RPMs dip below peak, you still have so much more torque than stock that it widens the power band lower. So you shorten the gears, but simultaneously widen the power band so you can use, the gear isn't just shorter, you can use more of the gear you've got.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Fucking DeMann builds a hell of a car.
Dude, the Spyder is one of the best looking convertibles ever made. It really is. Like, and I don't like convertibles very much, but just the whole shape of the thing. And I know I said this to you up at the mountain, like, this still looks the right size, where I think a lot of the 911s with the 992s and even the 991s, all the fenders have gotten so tall and so bulbousy, and it just looks like it's a balloon being filled. It's like they took a 996 or 7 and they started pumping air into it.
Yeah.
But this still looks really slick.
Yeah, and it's got it's not shy on passenger space. Like, you fit two people very comfortably. I'm tall. I fit in it really nice. You got a big trunk in the front. You got a big trunk in the back. It's like, if you're going to have a 911, if you need the back seat, great. Okay, fine. You put your kids back there. I get it. fine. You need a back seat for that. But if you're going to get a 911 that doesn't have a back seat, the car is too big for a 2-seat car.
Yeah.
You don't need to be hauling around that much car to only carry 2 people. This is the right size vehicle for that task.
Yeah, you have built the Boxster Spyder GT3 Touring. Mm-hmm. That's what you have.
Well, and we actually, I didn't bring my notebook in the car because it was like my car. I didn't necessarily, so I didn't do the. In this video, we will explore these questions, but it, you've driven a Cayman GT4. You drove GT4 RS with me. Between a GT4 RS and this, knowing that you're 99% on the street, which would you rather drive?
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Because I think until this point, my favorite Cayman Boxster whatever was the 25-year anniversary one.
Oh yeah.
Because it looked expensive and the suspension setup was compliant but agile and it sounded good, all that stuff. This is that, but much faster. It has the good engine of basically a GT3, but then the usability and the kind of the suspension setup, it's a bit of a do everything setting. Okay,
he can put this engine in that 25th anniversary car. He couldn't at the time. At the time I ordered my car, he couldn't, but now he can. He can do it in a GTS.
I mean, that's pretty good.
That would be a wild street car.
That'd be a good surprise for people.
Yeah,
it's really good. I would rather have this because the GT4 RS is, if you do a lot of track stuff or a lot of hard canyon driving, then yes, that is the better tool for that job. But it's incredibly stiff, very noisy, drones on the highway a little bit. The intakes are cool, but if you're not in the mood to hear cool,
you can't make it go away.
Yeah,
it's got a valved exhaust, but even if you put it in quiet, a lot of that resonance is coming from the intake side, not from the exhaust side. So you can't always make the undesirable noises of the 4RS go away. They're there whether you want them to or not. Whereas with my car, if you put my car in quiet mode, it's actually quiet.
It is. Yeah, it really is.
And I know it's like, if you're 25 years old and listening to this podcast, you'd go, why would you spend all that money to ever put it in quiet mode? Well, do you have a wife?
Well, yeah, but also, bro, if you hit the button for loud mode or go past 4,000 RPM, it is not quiet anymore.
No, it's loud. And it's good loud. It's pleasant. I like the sound. I would say 80% of the time I drive it in loud mode because it makes me happy. But if you're doing, I just did a 400-mile leg to San Francisco, and I wanted to listen to a podcast on the 5. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to listen to the fucking just for 4 hours. So the ability to make it quiet, and also to leave my house at 5 o'clock in the morning, you don't necessarily want it to be full out all the time. So
I just like having options.
Yeah,
it's the same reason we like mag ride suspension. You have the more options you have without compromising one or the other. Why not go for it? Yeah,
you can't go fast in quiet mode though.
Right.
above the valve is electronic, but above 4,500 RPM, and if you use more than half throttle, it'll force the valve open anyway. And Rick said that. But Tim backed this up, that it's really not good to run it with the valve closed when you're going fast because it just creates a back pressure and can kind of choke the engine up. And so if you're intentionally going fast, just open it. Because my button is not the same as the stock button. The stock button, even in loud mode, it opens at idle, closes from 1,500 to 4,000, and then opens again. That's stock.
Okay.
For mine, open is open and closed is closed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought yours opened automatically above.
It gets forced. It gets forced open in quiet mode.
Okay.
If you're at high RPM and in quiet mode, it gets forced open, which the stock one does too.
Sorry, forced open meaning the exhaust gases.
The exhaust gases themselves force it open.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. But the loud mode means loud always. It doesn't do the thing where it closes in the middle.
It sounds so fucking good.
It sounds crazy
it really
as shit.
Does.
Yeah.
It was fun. I was sitting there just revving it. It was nice.
It's pretty addictive.
Yeah.
And it's just such a nice thing. I have yet to find a downside. There's the octane boost thing, mildly annoying. You got to pour some I had to pour a bottle about the size of this water bottle in the tank every time I fill it with gas. Okay, that's mildly annoying. Takes a little extra thought, a little extra time. I have to carry a little extra bit of stuff with me. Besides that, and the clutch is heavier than stock, although it's still bearable.
It's pretty heavy. I got used to it, but
I got used to it very quickly.
I think I'm so used to modern cars where the clutches are basically electrical switches at this point. So coming from that, I was just
compared to my Safari car, compared to the Lamborghini, even compared to the Ferrari, not bad. The Ferrari's a little bit lighter, but not much.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not bad. I get used to it quick. The fact that it's heavy is offset by the fact that I don't have to take my fucking shoes off. I don't have to do it barefoot.
That's true.
And then heated seats, right? You got to the comfort seats.
The seats are so good.
You know, they hold you in. They're totally adjustable. They're heated. Love it.
I would those are seats where I would look for them in a junkyard and put them in my car. I mean, I don't care. Just take off the Porsche crest. Who gives a shit?
Fucking Ricky D. Rick Demand was having like a shop clear out fucking sale. And he had so many of those.
They're so good.
Because people take them out of their cars because when he builds race cars. People just take them out and they abandon them at his shop. So I'll call Rick after this and I'll ask if he's got any.
I wonder if they can be bolted into a BMW and wired. Well, the switches are attached, so the motor's attached.
Yeah.
You just need power.
It's just power.
Oh, man.
Now, that would be very interesting.
They're really good seats.
I have seen people put GT3 seats in an E46 M3, the buckets.
Right.
I've never seen someone put a powered 911 seat or Boxster seat but like, I don't see why it couldn't be done.
I gotta ask.
How hard could it be? Just power.
I'll ask them. Yeah. Well, and also if it's too tall or too low or something. But I can't imagine the Porsche seat is any taller than the BMW seat because the BMW one sits high.
Yeah.
And I also think that the shape of them, if you take off a Porsche crest or whatever, it's not too square, not too round. Like it's a shape that would fit that early 2000s design language of most cars.
Yeah, like
Recaros do. You know.
Yeah, it wouldn't look weird.
Yeah.
It would look okay. We'll call Rick and we'll see if he's got any sitting around that'll ship us.
I can hear people just going, "You're gonna get rid of the Vaders, wherever."
I mean, whatever.
Care. Yeah,
who cares? Whatever. That's They can get their own fucking seats. Maybe they'll buy yours.
There you
if
go.
They're so special, why don't you buy them?
Yeah.
How about that? My poor BMW. I need to drive it more. I drove it. I took it on a drive to nowhere recently. Like this past week on the sunny day, I did like 20 miles in it. I went out and Hannah was somewhere and I went out and got myself lunch somewhere further away than I had to go. And it was lovely. What a great car.
It's a good car.
Yeah. But it's been fucking raining and I haven't had anywhere to go. I've had that Lucid.
I mean, you should drive that car in the rain, dude. Turn traction control off. They're fantastic.
Yeah, I know. I'm just a bitch about it being clean.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'm sure it's fucking drifty city.
It is.
Probably great.
You need a car that you're comfortable driving when it's raining, I guess.
The Safari car was great. The Safari car I used to drive like a complete shitbag when it was wet. I'd slide fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
That thing was awesome. The tight diff and that heavy-duty clutch you could fucking dump. That thing was great at that.
I mean, your M3 is really, it's like a museum piece.
I know. It's too nice.
If all it does is get rained on, I mean, you have a car washer.
No, it's not that big of a deal. But I just like... if I get caught in the rain, that's one thing. But when it's in the garage and shiny and it's raining, I'm not like, let me go out in this now. It's just not.
I mean, my car is different because I seem to always get press cars when it rains. Like the Lucid on Tuesday, it was here and it started raining. I went, I wish I was driving my car to have fun, but I have a press car. It just seems to happen that way.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about the Lucid yet because the video is coming out after this, right?
Correct.
But can I talk about the EQE?
Yeah.
Sure. I think are we done on my car?
I think.
I mean, we've made a video. You'll see it soon. Watch the video. The one thing that's worth the video versus our just discussion is fucking hearing it because it sounds insane.
Yeah. And we used our new Insta360 X3 cam.
Yeah, we got a toy.
Which is going to look pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll play with that a little bit. See if the audience likes the 360 cam. In theory, you can get some good angles. So, I actually think we do still, maybe later this month after my trip, we should shoot the video with both of our M3s. I think we probably need to do that.
Cool.
That's a thing we need to do, right?
Yeah, contrast and compare.
Mercedes EQE, interesting car. The AMG version, this is the fast one. It's 617 horsepower normally and 700 pounds of torque, but it has a overboost mode with the launch where it can do an extra 10% of the power, which would bring it to 677 and 770, I think. It's the size of an E-Class as opposed to the EQS, which is the size of an S-Class. It has 3.5 degrees of rear steer,
Whoa.
which means you can make very, very tight turns. And I liked it better than the EQS a lot. I liked it a lot better. I thought the suspension was very well dialed in. It rode beautifully. We did make a mistake. I think I made the mistake in the SL video. I said it had air suspension, which it does not. It's not air suspension. It has a McLaren-like hydraulic sway bar system that is an anti-roll system.
So it's not 48 volts electric sway bar?
It's I think it is, but it's not air. It's not an air spring. And I think I said it was. I think I fucked up.
Because it's height adjustable too, isn't it?
Yes. But I think it pops up using the 48 volt, not using an air spring.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of messed me up. So if I got that wrong, I'm sorry. But someone at Mercedes corrected me and said that I said air suspension. It's not. The EQE does have air suspension, and it's really well programmed. It rides really nice. It's very fast, as you might imagine. This sort of teardrop, what they call the single bow roofline thing,
right,
where it's like one arc from nose to tail, like a bow and arrow. It's kind of growing on me a little bit. I actually like how the EQE looks. A lot of people did not like how it looked. I thought it looked kind of cool. And I really liked their fucking disco night lights inside. It has a crazy animated, this light show that goes on inside is like a club.
Does it do it when you turn the car on?
All the time.
It's constantly doing it?
It's while you're driving. Yeah, it does it all the time.
Does it change colors and stuff
Yes.
while you're driving?
Yes.
Is that distracting?
Not really, no. I think it's cool. I mean, you can customize it. There's a bunch of different schemes, and the one I'm referring to is one of the more aggressive light schemes.
Okay.
But you can make it something that's solid and not animated, but it's pretty fucking cool. Honestly, I'm into it. But when you do a launch, you put it in a launch mode, the sound it makes. Because it's so they've really prided, the question is, right, it's an AMG, it's electric, right? Like, how do you, like, what do we love about AMG? We love the sound, the aggression, the feel of the gearbox. Yes, we like the performance, but AMG is really it's an attitude, right? More so than just the performance. And how do you do that in an electric car to make it feel authentically AMG? And one of the things that they do is they give it this funky ass soundtrack.
It is a weird sound. Like
when you launch the car, it's hysterical. The first time I did it, I said something somewhere in between, like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And it sounds like Star Wars.
Yeah, but it sounds like the Tron Orchestra is doing the overture at the beginning, where they all play their instrument at the same time to and you're just like, and then it just takes off.
Is it? Can we play the sound? It's not on this computer,
Did you
right?
put it on? No, it's not. It's on.
It's not on Instagram. I did not put it on Instagram.
No, it's on like a hard drive.
It's okay. It's not possible.
But I can drop it in.
All right, don't worry about it. But like, it is the most. It's like it does this like it's loading up its phasers, and then when you dump the brake, it fires all the phasers. It's fucking hilarious. But it also, even when you're not doing a launch, it has this aggressive electric soundtrack. I don't really buy it. I mean, you can turn it off. Like the good news is like you don't have to listen to it if you don't like it. I mean, that's one of the good things about a lot of these electric cars is they're pretty infinitely programmable, and usually you don't have to deal with certain features that you don't like.
Has there been an EV you've driven that had that kind of sound that you liked, like the Taycan or something?
I mean, the Taycan's sound is generally pleasant, I think. I'm talking about the sound it makes through the parking lot, because cars are required to make some sort of noise at like creeper parking lot speeds. The Lucid doesn't have any artificial sound, but the motors, the motors and the powertrain does make a little bit of a sound that's reasonably pleasant.
It's like a very small whistle,
just
I think,
a light whir.
But it goes away when you get off of full throttle. Whereas the Rivian had like a gear whine that we couldn't get rid of.
Yeah, the Rivian one I didn't find to be very enjoyable.
So wait, is the sound you don't like about the EQE? It's the slow parking lot sound?
No. It's the manufactured in the cabin sound.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not that into that, and so I turned it off. But it's very fast. It handles well. It stops well, but it does that weird brake pedal thing that the EQS did, so the brake pedal feel is terrible. This one had ceramic brakes. This had optional ceramic brakes for $9,000.
Well, it is the sporty one.
Yeah, which I probably would not get. I did like the wheels. They were very, very cool looking.
All right, and it does look better in the front than the EQS. I think they made a front apron that extends out, so instead of it like rounding back under itself, like, your chin goes down under to your neck, it seems like with this, it's jutting out more in a more
this is the AMG,
style. Yeah,
right?
no, I know.
So the EQS we drove was the 580, but not an AMG.
And I thought it looked terrible.
Yeah, this because it's got the lower front. I don't even know if you call them intakes, but the openings that you would find on like the E63 wagon. That's what that
right.
Lower fascia is right off their other AMG sedans and wagons, and it looks good.
Yeah, it looks good. The openings are blocked off now, which is funny.
Yeah,
but of course they are.
They have done this new thing the EQS did not have called intelligent regen. So you could do regen off, you could do normal, high, or intelligent. An intelligent regen, did we talk about this?
Yeah, in the car, but not here on the show.
We talked about it in the car.
Yeah.
Okay. The intelligent regen, we've talked about a lot of things. I can't remember what's on the show right now. The intelligent regen, it adjusts the regen based in real time on factors around you. So if it sees an open road ahead of you, like on a freeway or a straight road, it will turn the regen off so you coast. If a car then pulls out in front of you, it will use the sensors to brake using the regen. If it senses a corner coming ahead of you, it will, and you lift off the throttle, it will add regen. And of course, like the irony is it's called intelligent because it's factoring in all this other stuff. But intelligent, it's not actually, because what you want is something predictable and repeatable that does the same thing every time, so you can drive in a consistent way.
Well, it sounds it's trying to merge like an autopilot driver assist system with regen, right?
Yes.
Is that what it's trying to do?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's like it doesn't just do it when you're using cruise control. It does it like when you're driving. So when you're driving, to have a regen that is not consistent is weird, and it doesn't make you a smoother driver or a better driver. It might recuperate energy in a more efficient way that'll optimize your range, but like it's not pleasant. Like regen, like on the Lucid or on my Ford or on most Teslas or whatever, you put it on like normal regen and your brain goes, you don't need your brain to do any math, but you basically go, okay, this will scrub off. If I lift off, this will scrub 5 miles an hour a second, until I come to a stop or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But and your body and your hands and your feet and your brain can figure out that math and the spatial awareness of it to the point where after a very short period of time, you should be able to use the brakes like hardly ever.
Yeah, like you can time letting off the throttle and then stopping at a stop sign.
Right.
And you land on the mark basically as well as you would if you'd use the brake.
Right.
It's pretty amazing how quickly our brain adapts to it, but also how predictable the car is and how they've programmed that the rate at which you decelerate.
Right. Imagine that rate was variable, but the car didn't tell you, what it was going to do.
Yeah, that's not good.
So sometimes there's no regen. Sometimes there's it's just not. Now again, like the sound, you don't have to use that mode. What sucks in this car and all the Mercedes EQs is it doesn't just stay in the mode you left it in when you park. So if you put it in high regen and then you get out of the car and you leave and you come back 20 minutes later, it's reset.
Really? Even if you set
every single
the M1 seat and all that stuff, like
every time.
Your profile?
Yeah, every time.
That's really silly.
It's dumb.
And their cars
it uses the shifter paddles to toggle through them, which because they're reusing the steering wheel. Like the idea that I hate when they use the paddles for something besides gear changes. It's just lazy.
Didn't their cars used to be good at memorizing, here's my suspension settings and my exhaust settings and all that shit? Or was Mercedes the one where every time you turned it on, you had to go turn all the things off?
I believe that Mercedes, at least the AMG GT, I remember telling myself when you start it up, you got to press 6 buttons every single time.
So they're still doing that? Okay.
Well, the SL had that individual mode, right, where you could program your settings and turn the knob one click to the left, and that would go in your individual mode, and you'd have everything there. This programmed everything except the regen into the individual mode. That was a standalone adjustment.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, they should over-the-air update
it programmed the sound, the power, the suspension, all that stuff into the individual, but not the regen. So, but the range was decent. It was about 280 miles if you drove it like a regular human being. It was a 90 kilowatt hour battery, but it's a very heavy car. It was 5,600 pound car. It's really heavy.
The Lucid is 5,300.
Yeah, Lucid was lighter. Yeah, it's it was comfortable. I mean, it operated, that tablet operated just like the SL, but just like the EQS. The gauge cluster in front of you could, if you put the steering wheel where the steering wheel was comfortable, it blocked the top half of the gauge cluster, which is where all the important information was, the speed, all that stuff. So I genuinely had no idea how fast I was going ever.
Wow.
Because and there's 4 or 5 different gauge themes. None of them moved the speed to somewhere I could see it. None of them.
Because so many cars, they drop it down to the center.
Yeah. Audi does that.
Porsche does that.
Porsche does it too.
Mazda.
Not this.
Oh,
Every
boy.
one of those themes had the speed on top where the steering wheel blocked it off.
All right, so Mercedes has 2 over-the-air updates to do.
It's a very weird oversight, and it's not like I had Hannah get in the car. I'm 6'3", she's 5'2". I had her get in the car. And I go, put the seat where you would put the seat, put the steering wheel where you want it, get set up. And she was like, it's blocking half the gauges.
Well, I wonder if that's because most humans, the distance between your eyes to your shoulders is roughly the same. So
Maybe,
if you're moving your seat and the wheel, it's even though they're going up and down, that ratio is still the same.
Yeah, in order to see the gauges properly, I had to put the steering wheel way up high and far away from me, which is not at all where my arms would naturally go. Weird.
But did they fix... I remember with the EQS, we didn't like the brakes, and I didn't like the suspension. It was bouncy and wallowy and just pretty... It felt cheap.
Yeah.
Is this better?
The suspension is much better.
Okay.
And the brakes are very effective, but the feel is not very good.
Yeah, and the pedal still moves, right?
Pedal still moves.
Yeah. So for people who didn't watch that video, when you lift off the throttle, the brake pedal starts to move away from your foot, right? You have to catch it.
Yeah, the regen moves the brake pedal.
Which no other car that we've driven does.
I've never seen it before.
And it is really strange because your foot, our foot, is always used to catching that brake pedal at the very top of the stroke. Mm-hmm. But in the EQS and the EQE, it is moving away from your foot, and you have to catch it.
I think
such a weird idea.
the idea is, and I'm not defending this because I think it's dumb, but I think what they were going for is to have your foot meet the regen where it's at. You know what I mean? So if you then meet the pedal, if you're in the regen and then you touch the pedal from there, it's braking from there, but like it's not. Other cars don't do that and don't need it.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. I think that's what they were trying to do, but it doesn't really work.
Yeah, because Porsche and Lucid, you can't feel through your foot when you go from regen to caliper, and that's great.
Yeah.
They do a great job at that.
But you know, I had no hiccups. Like the car didn't do anything weird. I didn't. You know. With the Lucid, like a couple little things happened that where it didn't want to connect to your phone, or I got a strange warning light, or the shit with the door locks, like just stuff like that. Like none of that. And so, you know, it felt like a production ready car where, you know, I didn't have to think about weird stuff that was going to go on. And my neighbors loved it.
Oh, really?
The people who walked by my house and saw it in the driveway all wanted to check it out. They all thought it was the coolest.
Wow. I think it's better looking than the EQS was. It's also not white, which is good, because the EQS we had was white, which did not help its shape. I don't know. The back still looks like a 90s Taurus to me. But if people are into it, you know, Mercedes doesn't care if I'm into it or not. They care if tens of thousands of people are into it and they buy it. So
it drives well. The brake pedal thing only comes into play when you're starting to go fast and you need the brakes a lot. If you're using the normal regen and just driving around town, you're not using the brakes that much. And it's comfortable and smooth and very quiet, very well insulated. You know, the climate control is great. The seat massagers and the seat temperature controllers are great. Like, and it's, if you're used to Mercedes, it in a lot of ways is familiar, you know, Mercedes territory. It's very easy to get in and out. It's got a nice roof line, and it feels like it's built really, really solid. But there's just some, you know, with EVs, everyone's kind of trying shit.
Yeah.
everyone, and the stuff they're trying is always a little different. And
well, I mean, you know, I was talking about this today on the Hill, and someone asked us, like literally in the comments, like if everything has 1,000 electric horsepower, how do you separate them? And a lot of it is these little bits of tech and like how we interact. So how do you reinvent a brake pedal? It's like, okay, well, if everyone's fast, maybe we reinvent brake feel. So Mercedes does this and Porsche does a different way, and you know, people will figure out, the market will dictate which one is more preferred. I think someone asked why Lucid isn't selling well, and I think we've had some small problems with that car, which will be in the video. But to your point, the Mercedes doesn't have any of these. Like, they go through everything with fine-tooth comb. They make sure everything works perfectly because that's what their clientele expects, and that's what their reputation kind of requires. And I think to be an early adopter of a Lucid, you need to be ready to deal with problems and, you know, focus more on either the dynamics of it or just having a cool, different thing.
Yeah.
But most people don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Most people just want a car.
Yeah. And they want it to work all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just weird what they choose to try to reinvent. So it doesn't always. The concept isn't even always good. Brakes didn't need to be reinvented. I mean, do you remember? I think it was Rolls-Royce that had GPS based gear shifting. Rolls-Royce would use the GPS because you can't in a Rolls-Royce. You have no control over your gear. You have park, reverse, and drive. And even though the gearbox has 6 or 8 forward gears, under no circumstances do you ever get to choose which of one those it's
paddles it for your children.
Right. And so what it would do is it would use the GPS to sense the curves in the road ahead and the terrain to select the correct gear for you. They put it in the car, and I never really heard anyone complain about it. So they reinvented gear changes in a way that like nobody really had a problem with. That like it
What
actually
year was this?
worked.
Early 2000s?
This was with the Wraith.
Okay.
The Wraith and the Dawn and the I'm sorry, the Ghost, the sedan, the Ghost, the Wraith, and the Dawn, which are all on the same platform.
It's strange because nowadays, there's so much computing power in the cars that just a simple lifting off the throttle heading towards a corner, like Porsche is a good example. Like they just know to downshift depending on your speed and how hard you're accelerating. Like it can figure all of that out without the GPS.
Right.
Yeah.
So like Mercedes is doing this GPS thing for the regen, but it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Not the way you want it to, anyway. But overall, Zach wasn't. This was the week that Zach was out of town, and I had 3 press cars. But I did find it to be an overall nice experience. But it doesn't. Other than the front bumper, and the fact that it goes fast, it didn't really say AMG to me. It was high performance, but they're going to have to figure out how to make these cars really feel like AMGs.
Or RS or...
Yeah, any of them. I mean, I'm saying I mean a lot today, but with Taycans even. Taycan Turbo S, Taycan GTS, Taycan 4, like there's just not that much difference between them except for the performance. There's not a lot of sensory difference. It's just the numbers go down or
But isn't
up.
that also true these days of 911S, GTS? Like until you get to Turbo S
or GT3.
Right. Well, GT3 sounds different and feels different.
Well,
but
that's what I was getting at.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like when you have an AMG versus when you have a twin turbo V8 with pipes on it versus the inline 6
right.
twin charged versus just a V6, you know that there's something different all the time. You hit the button to start it up and the sound it makes on startup, and you glug away from a traffic light. Like you always know that it's an AMG when you're going under a zillion miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with an EV, the numbers just go up quicker. Then this one makes Atari noises.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of, I think Porsche's had experience in this by accident because their cars now are somewhat similar until you get to the crazy high range. Mm-hmm. And it's this weird thing. Like all the cars look the same, but if people like the way the cars look, then that's okay. But unless you're a nerd, if you see one from the side, you might not know it's a GTS versus a 911S versus with some options.
Sure.
So I think these companies are going to have to deal with that same thing. Like people are going to have to really be able to spot, oh, that has the different front lip or that has the different whatever. But it won't convey the attitude that the AMG used to announce.
yeah, what they do have on this car that you do know is the body control, at least compared to the EQS. The AMG body control system is very good. It's smooth. It absorbs bumps very well, but it also is not sloppy and wallowy like the EQS was.
Good.
So video is out now, right? By the time people hear
Yes.
this podcast, this video
Goes
will be
up on
out.
the 4th.
I do recommend going to watch the video, even if you're not interested in EVs, just so you can hear the hilarious launch noises, because it was like it's a very, very crazy sound that car makes when you go to launch it.
It's like the sound when like Terminator 2 when he appears out of nowhere. They get teleported through time.
No, that was like a lightning sound. That's like a electricity sound.
That's true.
This is the sound of a TIE fighter battle in Star Wars. Like when the TIE fighter and the X-wing dives into the tunnel on the Star Destroyer, and then now they're going from space to now they're flying indoors.
Yeah.
Somehow it's that sound.
Which is funny because those increase in volume and pitch the way like a jet fighter does when they dive, but I don't think there's any jet turbine spinning. So it's like, what about this is spinning faster than was earlier in space?
Exactly. Well, that's really what's been going on in our world. We have
these.
We have
questions.
a little bit of news. The most recalls. Right, we wanted to talk about this. The most recalled car brands in 2022. Although you guys will be listening to the show in 2023, we could still do 2020 news. The list, top 10 manufacturers, the most recalls. Number 10, Nissan with 15. Number 9, BMW with 19. Number 8, Tesla with 20. And Tesla does a lot of things that probably should be recalls, but aren't. But that's notwithstanding. Number 7, Hyundai with 22. Then Kia with 24. Number 5, GM with 32. Number 4, Mercedes with 33. Number 3, FCA Stellantis with 38. This one's kind of weird because number 2 is Volkswagen Group. So they all get lumped into one with 45.
Same with FCA.
Same with FCA, but Volkswagen Group is bigger than FCA.
Yes.
And then Ford, number one. With 67.
Well, a couple things.
But Ford has by far the most vehicles sold on the list. So Ford is 67 recalls over 8.6 million vehicles.
Yes, but the second most recalled vehicles here is about 3.8 million, I think. Tesla 3.8 million.
Tesla has 20, yeah.
So Ford recalled twice as many vehicles. General Motors recalled 3.3 million vehicles. FCA 3 million vehicles. So Ford did recall
the most vehicles. My car had 2 recalls.
Yeah.
My car had the roof recall, my Ford, where the panoramic roof glass, the adhesive that holds on the panoramic roof glass could come unadhesived, and the roof could, in theory, fly off. I don't know if anyone's roof actually did fly off. I never heard a single story of someone's roof flying off. Mine didn't. And actually, when they replaced the adhesive, when they took it out to replace it, they did it while I was on vacation. And when I got it back, interestingly enough, I had a new rear view mirror. Like the rear view mirror that my car came with had the plastic edge around it, and then when I got the new after the recall, edge to edge glass. New mirror. So
Nice.
They gave me a little bonus update there. And then there was a recall that apparently one of my drive units, my motors, could fail and leave me stranded on the road. And they did some kind of a software update thing to fix that. They did it at the same time, actually. They did both at the same time.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Ford, it's so hard. I think we need more people that own the car. We always get the cars when they're brand new and they're press cars, with the exception of your Mach-E. Like, we don't get to own them. But we have heard from friends that, like, oh, my Fiesta was 2 years old and this started to break, or the Focus was, and someone in our comments earlier owned a Explorer ST that they said was really fast with bolt-ons, but the screens broke, switches were breaking, like they had to bring it in for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I've definitely talked about the issues I've had with my Ford.
Yeah.
They're not fucking. I've had different issues with, like, I've owned a few Fords. I've had different issues with all of them. My Focus RS had the wrong head gasket on it.
I feel like, are they the German brand from America? Like BMWs, Audis, Mercedes, they have a reputation for starting to fall apart after the warranty ends, sometimes before the warranty ends.
I still have 5 more years of warranty.
No, I'm saying because the cars from Germany tend to be very complex with powertrains technology. They're complex, but that means they tend to fall apart. And then, usually Japan takes the technology, perfects it, and it's reliable. Is Ford doing the same thing where their engines are complex, they're pushing a lot of boost through them, they're trying to make max power and all these other things, and then the stuff just falls apart? Or is it they just use cheap stuff? I don't know.
I mean, most of my recalls were either, this is just my story, either software errors or human errors. Like that head gasket thing with the Focus RS, like, that was a human error. Like, they put the wrong box of fucking head gaskets out there, and they ended up into a couple hundred cars.
Right.
I don't
like
really
the recall.
know.
I found a Mach-E forum, which is funny because basically this forum post starts with, hey, someone wrote an article about the roofs falling off, and then a bunch of people are going, that's not true, this is just Tesla people trying to FUD the Mach-E. And then about 8 posts later, someone goes, it's a recall because there's not enough bonding. So it's inadequate panoramic roof glass panel bonding.
Right.
So it was a glue issue.
Yeah, not enough glue.
Yeah.
Right. It's sort of the opposite of the Subaru RTV issue, where there's too much glue.
Oh.
Right? Or the Ferrari heat shields catching on fire because there was too much glue. That was
a
So
problemo.
right, you got to have the right amount of glue. Can't have too much. Can't be short on it either.
Can I get some of that extra glue?
I did get from Ford a thing extending my warranty. So they did a goodwill gesture where my warranty has been extended. I don't remember by exactly how much because it's beyond the length of my lease. So I'm not sure how much it is, but I do remember getting a letter going, your warranty's been extended to 50,000.
Because we're sorry.
50,000 or 60,000.
And they sent you a jacket, right?
Huh?
Didn't they give you a jacket?
They meant well, but they sent me a relatively sad swag pack full of a bunch of stuff that said Mach-E on it. And yeah, so.
Pretty cool, man.
Pretty
You
cool.
wear it on New Year's?
I'm going full. I'm gonna be Mach-E guy.
There you go.
On New Year's, but yeah. So what can we learn from this?
Like you're a pilot, you're like, well, of sorts. What can we learn? We can learn that everyone has problems when they make cars because making cars is very hard. And I think, when I was a kid, someone's like, Ford found on road dead, or like there's all these like tribalism things of no, your car brand breaks, mine doesn't. And most car companies have recalls.
But like Japan,
except for
as a country, Japan only has one brand represented in the top 10. It's number 10.
True.
It's Nissan.
True.
Toyota, Honda, Lexus, not represented.
Which is expected.
But like it's a reputation that's fucking earned.
Yeah.
Like, right? Every American brand is up there.
Yep.
Audi actually has managed to not end up there.
VW Group.
Oh, that's a good point. You're right. Sorry, I ignored that.
No, but you're right. Like Porsche's not up there.
Porsche's also Volkswagen Group.
Oh, they are. That's right.
Yeah.
So so Japan, Toyota and Honda, as usual, continue earning the reputation that they have.
No Mazda. Oh, here we go. How about the bottom of the article? The manufacturers with the least recalls: Bugatti, Maserati, Ferrari, Polestar, and Mazda. That's an interesting one. Bugatti recalled one car. Ferrari had one recall that affected 23,555 vehicles,
which is a large percentage.
I think that was brakes
of the vehicles sold.
I think Ferrari's recall was brakes. It was not a good recall. There's good recalls and there's bad recalls. Yeah, brakes that could fail. There it is. 17 years of cars that had brakes that could fail. That's not so good.
F430 through the 2022 Portofino.
Yikes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's a big recall. Got to sell some more polo shirts.
That's a lot. That's a lot of recalls.
It's just making cars is very complicated.
Yes, it is. It's very hard. Let's go to the Patreon. Of course, if you want to ask questions, if you want to get an ad-free listening experience, if you want an extra show every month, patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Sean Gallagher says, what is your take on a Triumph Bonneville T120? Is that the same as a regular Triumph Bonneville? Can you look up T120? I don't know what the T120 portion of that is. Is that just a regular? I don't know anything about this
new bike that looks old.
It's the Triumph Bonneville in general is very cool. Motorcycle icon. It is they're really cool looking. They got the right cafe racer kind of attitude, but I don't know anything about the T120. It looks nice in these photos. Scroll down. Is there some information that's T120 specific? Original silhouette and style with a premium modern finish. Oh, so it's painted in more modern colors?
Or you can get it in black if you want. Or
all
gold.
black, silver, cool different colors.
What's the power? Let's see.
$12,000 to $13,000.
There we go.
Here we go. It is 79 horsepower, 6-speed, 1,200 cc parallel twin. Not going to be very fast. Probably makes a very cool sound. And I bet, as it said, the weight, go down and see if we can find the weight. We have curb weight, 520 pounds, pretty heavy.
Yeah,
a pretty heavy bike. It's there's a lot of metal. It's not a plastic bike. It's a metal bike. Everything on it is metal. But these things they're good for every day. They're good in the city. They got the right attitude and sound. You look kind of cool riding them if you're most people.
They look old, but they have a warranty.
Yeah, I like the idea of it. I've never ridden one, but it looks nice. I know people who have had Bonnevilles in general and have liked them. So, sorry I don't have any specifics of riding it, but it looks like a nice thing. Lucas Taratus, what the fuck happened to the Corrado? The Volkswagen Corrado. They practically don't exist anymore. Do we think they will be collectible? A Corrado is absolutely collectible.
Yeah.
They are very collectible. They're really cool cars. They practically don't exist anymore because they were not very reliable. Especially the G60, which was the supercharged 4-cylinder. They had two options, the G60 and then the VR6. We saw a VR6 at Good Vibes this morning, black.
They look cool.
They look cool. They're really cool looking cars, but especially for Volkswagens, they have a lot of unique parts, which makes them really expensive to maintain and repair. Often, they're more expensive to maintain and repair than is worth a lot of people's time.
Yeah, I mean, they have active aero in the back, and that was back in mid-90s.
92, 94.
I mean, that's complicated, very cool. But probably complicated, because, I mean, their locks back then were vacuum. I can't remember if their active aero is electronic actuated or like a hydraulic system. But
I don't know.
It's probably
they drive
problematic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, they don't drive, for all the complexity and all the bullshit, they don't drive that much different from a GTI.
No, I think they actually, the ones I drove, my friend had one in high school, it was pretty well modified, but it felt heavier than a GTI.
Yeah. Like a GTI VR6 was the competitor at the time versus a Corrado VR6. And like most real enthusiasts wanted the GTI.
And it's more usable. Like it has the hatch space, whereas the Corrado is cool looking, but it's much smaller inside.
Having said that, they're very collectible.
Yeah.
The people that are into them are very into them. You know, a lot of people that would want, like if you had a super mint one, people would pay enormous money for it. I mean, they sell for big money, and the kind of people who want them have big money to spend. Like, didn't Zagato buy one, or Matt Crook, or one of our like pretty well-off friends bought a really nice one?
I don't know. I'm going to look at Bring a Trailer completed listings.
Yeah, let's look up Corrados.
Here. I just pull it up.
What do we have for Corrados? Yeah, ooh, big spread. Low is 5 to 10,000. High is 35, 40,000.
Wow.
Go down to the. What do we got here? Let's see. So we got a couple G60s. Looks like 15 to 20 gets you a pretty nice one.
Yeah, a lot of VR6s for about 19.
VR6
22.
5 speeds. I like that blue in the middle. Looks like Sprint blue, modified third row down. Yeah, that one.
That's very cool.
That one looks cool. I mean, these look, with the right set of wheels, these look great.
Here's one for 10. But yeah, the G60, it looks like it's 5 to 10 grand cheaper than a VR6 equivalent.
Yeah.
I mean, all over the place here.
Yeah, nobody really wants
cheap.
the G60. They're more complicated than they need to be, and they don't make that much power.
Jeez.
But it looks like 16 to 25 will get you a decent one.
Look at this. Is this dark green?
Oh, that looks great with those wheels.
Ooh, VR6.
SLC.
21,000.
2.8 liter VR6. Very clean. It's green, right?
Yep. It's a good looking car.
Very cool looking.
Very cool looking car.
Yeah. 88,000 miles with Speedline wheels. Very nice. Yeah, 21 grand. I'd say budget 25 for a great one, and you'll have something that's very collectible.
True.
Jake says, Battle of the Gaudiest Supercar. Daily one for a month. Would it be a Tech Art 911 or the Mansory MC20? Did you see the Mansory MC20?
No.
It is not good.
How do you... Well, I was about to say, how do you ruin one of the prettiest cars made recently?
Oh, Mansory will find a way.
They
find this is not good. What they've done is they've tried to make it. They've made it look like somewhere between a Noble and a Senna.
Yeah,
but like unsuccessfully gotten either.
There's too many vents. This is like the air conditioning on a casino.
Yeah, it's not good at all.
No, because the MC20 is a beautiful car. Like the shape, it's so simple. Yeah, it's so nice. Like, don't touch it.
This is yours to fuck up.
It's got an STO's wing, basically.
Yeah,
so many vents.
It's awful.
It looks like a fish.
The Tech Art 911. Tech Art is pretty gaudy. The Tech Art 992. I mean, I'll just tell you right now that I'd rather drive a Tech Art 992 than a Mansory anything. There we go. Let's look at that one.
This one?
Yeah, that one.
See, some Tech Art stuff is pretty restrained.
It's not that bad. It's got a bare carbon hood. It's got sort of a reconfigured front grille. The wheels are all right. I don't mind the wheels.
You know what they didn't do, which Mansory did? Mansory changed like the fundamental shape of the shell.
Right.
And Tech Art did not do that here. They just add stuff to it.
Yeah. I would definitely go Tech Art over Mansory pretty much any car.
Yeah.
I mean, Mansory just puts shit on the car that it doesn't need. I've never. Ooh, there you go, Gimbala.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with Gimbala. I've never seen any Mansory car that looked good ever.
Yeah.
Whereas I have seen some Tech Art cars that do look kind of cool.
Me too. I agree. All right.
Dave Kerwood says, what are your thoughts on cars pulling engine sounds into the cabin? My Audi S4 uses a small speaker, and it doesn't really bother me because it sounds good and isn't overly obnoxious.
And someone replied that, so it has a speaker called the Sound Actor. The Sound Actor is a speaker that sends sound to the windshield.
Yeah.
If it's the hot tube thing, where there's a physical tube like that goes from the engine compartment into the cabin, I have no problem with that because it's a vibration from the combustion process that is, almost like a game of telephone that comes into the cabin, and then I think it feels genuine. But when it's just a straight up speaker playing a composed sound, then I don't like it.
Yeah. I'm less offended by it than other people. There are people like Camisa that are like really personally insulted by it. My Focus RS did it, and I disconnected the speaker thing. You could pull the fuse on it. I disconnected it, and I thought it sounded better when it was plugged in, and so I plugged it back in. And after all my bitching about it, I unplugged it, and then it turns out I think they were right. So I plugged it back in. So we just talked about the electric cars with the fake noise, which I'm not that into. But if they have, it's hard because a lot of these manufacturers, especially Audi, BMW, and Mercedes, they want to offer an insulated cabin.
Yeah.
So they want to pump in good noise and keep out bad noise. And a lot of times the way they do that is by digitally augmenting. And so I am of the opinion that if the end product sounds good, fine. Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. It normally doesn't bother me.
I think basically if I had to rank them, I would rank the hot tube system above the synthetic one just because of it's genuine, I guess. But I agree that because we keep pushing, customers keep pushing manufacturers towards, I want less road noise, less wind noise, less road noise, less wind noise. They go, okay, they make it really quiet inside. And
Yeah.
so, and also with turbochargers and emissions, the sound coming out of the exhaust is getting quieter, and less of it is coming through into the cabin.
Right.
So they're kind of in a catch-22 situation.
Right. Matt Cheseldine, what is your favorite car that came out this year? SmokingTire Car of the Year. Favorite car that came out this year.
What have we driven? Let me look at the list.
I
It's
mean,
like 100 cars.
we drove a lot of cars this year. It's hard for me to actually even remember where the year started. I thought, the
GT4 RS is amazing.
Yeah, the Z06 was epic. I mean, we haven't gotten one for the smoking tire yet, and I need to lean on GM a little bit for that. I drove it for Road and Track, and they did a phenomenal job with that car. They built a 458 Special, basically. It is a very, very, very appealing package to someone who likes sports cars. GT4 RS, also fantastic.
Artura, you like that a
I
lot.
loved the McLaren
Yeah.
Artura. I thought it was fantastic.
I didn't drive that yet.
We thought the Rivian was an exceptional product. The
Yeah, that's a good
R1T
execution
was
of
a
the
great
concept.
product. That car does not feel at all like it's that company's first product.
The GR Corolla is good as long as you get it for sticker.
Right.
So, for the money or value for the money, if the money is correct.
Yeah, GR Corolla was great.
But man, car of the year is
I can't think of something that was more successful at its own mission and uncompromised than the Z06. The Z06, it's clear what they tried to do, and then they did it. There's not like, oh, but like they really did it. Like they built an actual Ferrari for a third of the cost of what Ferrari is doing, and their engine is better than Ferrari's current engine. Like they've never actually built a better V8 than Ferrari, but they did this time.
Wow.
So that is really exceptional. So I'd have to say Z06, even though we haven't technically driven one yet for TST or my car.
Z06, you don't have to carry around bottles of lighter fluid, though.
That's true. That's true. Michael Cosgrove, have we read the new book, The Dealer, by Jim Ciardella about the legendary Ferrari of Los Gatos? I have not. Can we get... Let's take a look at that book. I always like adding to the reading list. And speaking of which, I have gotten a lot of emails about my reading list and where I could post it, and I'll make maybe I'll just go in our website and just make a section on our website, and then I can link people to it.
Amazon affiliate links.
I don't want to do that, but it's not a terrible idea, but I don't want to do that. But I've heard all of you, and when I get a bit of free time, I will make a list of books that I've read this year and liked. The Dealer, how one California dealership fueled the rise of Ferrari cars in America. And it's not about Luigi Cinetti. Okay. Ferrari Los Gatos. Let's see. Okay. This is a story of a dealership, and it seems interesting. Okay. Add that to the list. I do have. Have you seen the sticker on my Ferrari that's on the driver's side door that says "Please no touch on my body"?
Yeah,
that's a Ferrari of Los Gatos sticker.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
Okay.
Cool.
So I haven't seen it yet, but I will add it to the list. Thank you, Michael. Nate M says, I regret selling my Fiesta ST. It's my favorite car I've ever owned, and I'm looking to buy another one for the new year. With aftermarket support nowadays, they're making a very easy 300 wheel horsepower. For $15,000 to $20,000, is there anything else with 4 doors even worth considering for a weekend fun car? Fiesta STs are great. I love a Fiesta ST. I don't know.
What's a used Genesis go for? Like the G70?
No, that's not a weekend car, though. That's like a sedan.
Yeah, but, he's thinking he needs 4 doors, too, right?
15 to 20. Look, we bought the 135i, black 6-speed for $19,000. The one that we did the giveaway. Now we put another maintenance into it, and we ended up in the at 30,000. But it's a lot faster than Fiesta ST.
I would say Lexus ISF.
Oh,
if you can find higher mileage ones, but it's a Lexus engine, and that is a very fun car that sounds awesome with a set of pipes on it.
That's interesting.
That's
a good option. I think you could probably get a Z3 Roadster, a non-M. 15, 20, you might be able to get a decent Boxster that's in good shape. Maybe even a Boxster S, a 986 Boxster S for that kind of money.
I think they have to go S, because if Nate had a 300 horsepower Fiesta ST, then you're going to want some power.
Yeah.
Otherwise you'll feel left out.
You might be able to get a 2006 John Cooper Works Mini. A friend of mine just bought a GP, and he paid a little over 20, but it was a GP and had very low miles.
But I think, does he need 4 doors?
He says anything else with 4 doors. So I guess he wants something with 4 doors.
$20,000.
Fiesta STs are great. I have nothing bad to say about Fiesta STs, but I've heard from people that they can have issues when they get up there in miles, and stuff can break. So leave some money on the side to fix things, and don't overpower the platform.
Do not overstress the engine.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get 2 Miatas. That's got 4 doors.
Yeah. Yeah. Mazda Speed 3, maybe. Anonymity with the C8 Z06 and many other sports cars at $150,000 and under, and then the 911 Turbo and Artura at $220,000. What cars fill that gap in price, meaning $150,000 to $230,000 and performance? I mean, 911 GTS.
Yep.
For sure. 911 GTS with a stick. Delightful. That's very good. Cayman GT4. GT4 RS. You're talking the one we tested at Road and Track, assuming you get it for sticker, was $195,000.
AMG GT Pro. Is it like 156 or so?
Yeah.
170?
Yeah, AMG GTs. Oof, they're very good.
They're good.
They're very good.
Maybe how much was that Vantage F1 edition we drove?
175 maybe. Didn't love it. It was
Yeah.
okay. Didn't love it.
It's just in the list.
R8 GT.
Oh yeah.
New R8 GT. I don't know if you can get one. They might be sold out, but R8 rear wheel drive performance. That's in the low twos, high ones, low twos.
That's a lot of car.
Yeah.
Feels exotic, even though the pricing is not.
R8s
Cool.
are lovely.
Yeah.
They're very good. You can get a. I mean, that's pretty much. Or you can get something. Well, I don't think he is asking about classics. I think he's been. Looking at new stuff. 911 GTS is great. Or, I mean, you're not getting a GT3 for that much, but the R8 is great. 911 GTS, that's great.
What's fun in that price point is there's a lot of attitudes. Like R8 is V10, feels exotic. AMG GT is like V8 attitude. GTS, 911 GTS is just quick and precise. I mean, it's kind of a nice selection of flavors in there.
Yeah, there's also a lot of great things you could buy that are semi-classic for that much money. You get a 993 Turbo, still very usable. You could get a 996 GT2 for that kind of money.
You get a 430.
You can get an F430, although it would not be a stick.
You get a 458.
You get a great 360 with a manual.
Get that.
You could get a 458. You could definitely get a 458. There's a lot of options in used cars for that price point, and so I wouldn't necessarily count those out because there's still the modern stuff is still quite reliable.
You don't need that.
Wait. All right. Wait. A lot of words in this one. He bought my friend bought a 997 GT3, and he's has an allocation for a new GT4. For a weekend car that sees frequent track time, would you rather own the new GT4 or the older GT3? I'd rather own the new GT4. You get a warranty, beat the balls off it on the track.
True.
You don't have to worry about the coolant pipe issue. It's going to be faster. It's going to be better balanced.
Well, how easy is it to bulletproof that coolant pipe issue on GT3s?
Costs you some money. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. Okay. No, it's not. You have to take the engine out. It's an engine out service to do it.
Of course it is.
Yeah. It's not. It's not a difficult thing. It's a proven thing, and we don't know if that's been done before on this person's car, but you do have to take the engine out to do it.
If it was a mostly street car, then I would say keep GT3 for appreciation reasons. But yeah, frequent track time. That's a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is. And you can, if you have a brand new GT4, you fucking track the shit out of it with your warranty.
Right.
And you're good to go. And it'll have better brakes. GT4 will have better brakes. Anonymity wants to know what we think about the Giulia short wheelbase Zagato. It is a coach-built Zagato coupe based on the Giulia. I think it looks great, honestly. Love coach-built. Love Zagato. It looks cool as shit. It's very aggressive. It reminds me of the SZ, like some of those weird 90s kind of concepts that they did. But I love that coach building is happening. I thought coach building was dead for a long time, unless you were talking about they put it next to an SZ.
Next to an SZ.
Yeah, so they have lined it up with a spiritual successor. I love the proportions. I think it looks fantastic. Manual gearbox.
How did they get rid of the 4-door proportion so well and like hide
They
it?
probably cut it down.
Yeah,
it's probably
shorter wheelbase.
Yeah, it's a shorter wheelbase. I mean,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. I'm into it. And it just makes me happy that people are doing coach built stuff on something besides like Ferraris,
Right?
You know,
that are $3 million.
nothing wrong with a coach built Ferrari. God bless. But like Alpha has a history of coach building. So
cool.
let's do that. That's very cool.
Go back
Keep up your coach building. I'm into it. Okay. Chris Laforet has a tire question. Got a CPO 911 Turbo S, not a daily, weekend drives, 1 to 2 track days a year. Factory P0s will need to be replaced. Should I get PS4S or Cup 2? I would say probably the 4S. I mean, Cup 2s, you'll destroy a set of Cup 2s in a single track day.
Yeah.
If you're driving fast.
And if you're only doing 1 or 2 a year, you don't need the full kill super sticky tire. But so if you have the PS4S, then you can enjoy it for a longer period of time. And it's going to be better in inclement weather if you drive in that kind of stuff. Right? Like,
yeah, the difference between a PS4S and a Cup 2 can be felt on a stopwatch. It's not going to change the dynamics of the car. It's going to lower the ultimate amount of grip. Or excuse me, if it's a Cup 2, it'll increase the ultimate grip, but it won't change how the car feels. The car will still be pretty sticky even on the 4Ss. Mm-hmm. You might run a half a second a lap, 3/4 of a second a lap quicker around the track. If it's a big track, maybe a second quicker. But if you're out there just having fun, learning your car, improving your skills, and having a good time, and you're not actually racing anybody, there's no advantage to the Cup 2.
And depending on where he lives, I mean, it's a Turbo S. Like, that's a drive through the winter kind of car. So, but if it's raining, who cares? Unless you're on Cup 2s, which are not as great in the rain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he asked about changing the dimensions of the tires. I don't know. I've never. I would probably just do what Porsche says to do, honestly.
Yeah. Or ask someone who sets up those cars professionally.
Right. If you know a shop, either a local shop, or if you could you call BBI, call Emotion Engineering, call a reputable shop and ask them about that. That unfortunately I don't know, but I would say if you're going to run a 4S and not a Cup, and you don't care about the lap time, just leave the stock size alone. JB is shopping for a weekend and backroad autocross and track car with $80,000 budget. Great handling and quick, but not stupid fast, leaning on a 718 Cayman GTS or a 981 Cayman GTS. I mean, great.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of difference between 718 and 981, except different, the S is a 4-cylinder versus the S being a 6-cylinder in the 981 and blah, 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 blah. You're going to have fun. If you're... Do
they change the suspension design at all between those two? I don't know.
I don't... maybe a little bit. I don't really know. It's a bit of a nuanced thing. Like, you should buy the best one you can afford. If you can't afford a GTS 4.0 for the 718, then get a GTS 981, because you probably want the 6-cylinder. The 4-cylinder rips. There's a lot of value in buying the 4-cylinder car. If it's an S or a GTS 4-cylinder, the GTS 4-cylinder is really fast and very underappreciated. They made it for 1 year before coming out with the GTS 4.0. And it makes a lot of power. You can get a tune on it. You can get parts for it. And people don't appreciate it because they don't want to drive the 4-cylinder. So if you want to go fast and you don't care if it's a 6 or not, get a 718 GTS 4-cylinder and really, really go rip. But, I mean, these cars haven't gotten worse. So I would say buy the best one you can afford. And in general, the 718s are better than the 981s.
That's tough, especially because this person's planning to do... Oh, wait, sorry. I mistook. All right. Mostly stock 718 S or GTS or fairly modified 981.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to track it a lot, I would do the one that you can add mods to, because everything you're putting on it is going to cater to that use. Wow. I mean, those are good choices. Good problem to have.
Yeah. Alex Hay says, with prices on daily drivers coming down, if you can wait 6 months or a year to buy, would you? Tough question. We're not fortune tellers. Cannot tell you what will happen in 6 months or a year. I don't know. Right? I mean...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we don't know. If we knew, then we would be able to predict the market, and then we'd be rich. And neither of us is doing that. So I don't know. All signs point towards prices cooling off, especially used cars. Like, there was a post the other day of the percentage of people that are more than 2 months past on their car payment is just going up a lot. That's not good. Yeah, and that's.
But Bo Bachman said that we're about to have a real shortage of used cars.
Right, I don't know, and he knows things we don't know. So that, again, this goes back to we can't predict it, because if I see that the number of people lapsing on their car loans is going
because the shortage in sales in 2020, like COVID, the supply chains, like the first half of 2020, people weren't buying,
right,
and then the second half of 2020, the supply chains couldn't keep up,
and then everyone was buying.
And so there's fewer cars out on lease, which means fewer lease returns in 2023, so there's going to be a shortage of used cars. Now, that's right about the time they'll be able to increase the production of new cars. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. What does that mean?
Might go under. Like, there's so many factors.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
As far as Explorer ST, we've never driven one. I don't know.
But Nate replied below and said he had one, and it was fast, but it was plagued with electrical and software issues. Windows stopped working, infotainment stopped working. 360 cameras would go in and out. Granted, that's anecdotal, but Alex, I would look at forums and look into their reliability, because it sounds like if you buy a used one, you might also be dealing with some problems.
Yeah. William says, wait, is it renting?
I think he wants to rent.
This is talking about renting?
Yeah, Turo.
Oh, renting a 5 Series versus an E-Class on Turo. Oh, dude, these are when you're talking about Turo, these are the same car.
Yeah.
There's not a difference here.
Pick the one you think looks the best.
Yeah.
I genuinely mean that. Whichever one you'll walk up to and go, I'm glad I rented this car.
Yeah.
Do that.
I mean, alternatives, Audi A6 or A7, Tesla. I don't know what's in the Dallas area, but if you're talking about, I don't want to feel bored like I'm driving a boat, you say here in your comment, but then a 5-year-old BMW 5 Series and a 5-year-old E300, those are not exciting cars.
They are both yachts.
Those are boring cars. I mean, unless what you drive is like actually terrible.
I think you hit it. I think renting a Tesla would be more interesting, because it's a bigger departure from what he normally drives, which he says is a Civic. Do something way out of left field.
Yeah.
Because once you're on the highway there, which Dallas is made up of many, many highways, everyone's basically going the same speed.
Yeah. But there's fundamentally no difference between a 5-year-old 5 Series and a 5-year-old E-Class. Those are the same car, basically. RS1 Daily enjoyed the car giveaway. Would we consider doing another manufacturer? Yes. Would a $40,000 budget still be profitable? It'd be less profitable than $30,000 budget. The data from our contest people said the sweet spot is $30K. That's the sweet spot. Not just for us in terms of what we would spend and what we would get back. Because if you paid attention to the last contest, the value of the car and the parts was $30,000. We then put almost $10,000 into maintenance between the body shop and having just preventative maintenance done. So we really did spend close to $40,000 in value to get to a $30,000 car. So it's not about that, but it's also about the optics from the other end. Whoever wins the car has to pay taxes. And as it does turn out, the guy who won the BMW is in California, so he had to pay 10% tax on that car. So the more expensive the car, the more the tax implications are, And the more you actually drive people away from wanting to enter because they're afraid of being stuck with a huge tax bill if they win. So $30,000 is enough to get you a fun, clean car where we start the modification process and you can continue it if you want. Reliable, good, looks good, but also you don't get saddled with a massive tax bill by winning.
Because even if your daily is a pretty cheap daily, and granted this is relative, but like if your daily is worth $3,000, you could sell your daily, pay the taxes on the $30,000 price. You know? And you don't. That is not. You can own a pretty inexpensive car to get $3,000 for it.
Right. Okay. Tandy says, I blew up my '06 G35 Coupe manual. It's not worth fixing. But I loved it, and I'm considering upgrading to a 370Z, and I can only afford one fun car. I already have a daily. Am I robbing myself of variety of experience by going for something so similar? What would you suggest as a potential alternative experience for similar price ranges? I mean, if you love that experience of a G35, a 370Z is the same car.
Yeah.
I mean, almost the same car. So if you want to have a new aesthetic experience, but the same fundamental driving experience, then go with that. Alternatives, Mustang GTs, Camaro SSs, BMW 3 Series.
BRZ to a degree.
BRZ or 86. You know, there's nothing new under the sun here. We're not gonna surprise you with something that you probably can't figure out, unfortunately, because you're talking about a car that's like $15,000, right? So there's nothing like crazy that is in there, but lots of pony cars. You know, Camaro SS 1LEs or Mustang GT performance packs
are great.
Those are
cars.
great for the money, and you can modify them to suit. I
would at least go test drive other cars like that.
Yeah.
And see if they, you know, catch your heart, because you could always get a 370Z. Those are always around. But, you know, try something with a V8. It's a totally different experience, a different sound, different type of acceleration feeling. So why not at least try it in a test drive?
Yeah.
Or try it out for a year. Buy one for a year and then sell it for a year after a year.
Josh wants us to predict the future. We can't. Daniel Berman says, having recently driven a Lucid, it feels like the car was built by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. You're not wrong. The Air has never gotten a bad review from any enthusiast outlet. Many of the car's characteristics, no matter how amazing, seem to adjust journalists' complaints about modern cars with not enough focus on things that consumers will notice. Your average dentist won't understand why they benchmarked an E39 M5. I can't help but wonder why it struggles in the market. I think it's just really expensive. I mean, it's $180,000. It's more expensive than almost any Tesla. Mm-hmm. It's more expensive than almost any EV. I mean, you're at the very almost every Taycan is cheaper. Every Audi EV is cheaper. Almost every Tesla is cheaper, except a Model X Plaid.
It's also from a company that most people have never heard of until 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's also their target was to make, I think, 12,000 cars this year, and as of the last time I researched this 5 days ago, they had made about 4,000. So if someone is a discerning buyer, and if they're spending $180,000, they may be. Well, now they go, this company's really new. I don't know how long they're going to be around. How long will I be able to get it serviced? Where can I get it serviced near me? Also, they haven't hit their target production goal. What does that say for my ownership experience? I think it's hard for people to go, yeah, I'll jump in early.
Yeah, and I don't know I've heard a few different people talk about them struggling to sell cars. I don't know if they're struggling to sell cars. I think they're struggling to build cars. It's not like they have a whole inventory of unsold cars sitting around. When I saw Peter Rawlinson at this watch thing, you know, he spoke briefly, and it wasn't exactly on the record, but I told him I worked for Road and Track and had a podcast and all this stuff. And he said, you know, building cars is really hard. You know, our car has like 3,500 parts in it, and it's hard to do this. And he's like,
I think they build all of them.
Huh?
I think they build all of them. They don't get a lot of outside supplier stuff.
Yeah. I mean, they have suppliers, but but they said that they had all kinds of problems, from supply chain stuff to staffing to all kinds of shit. And so it's not about, the problem isn't getting people to want to buy the car. They're not necessarily missing with consumers. They're just having trouble putting the fucking things together and getting them into people's hands. And so that's a different problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, Daniel, exactly if you say it struggles in the market. I don't think that people don't understand it. I just think it's really expensive. It's at the very highest end of EVs. I mean, you can get 2 Rivians.
Jeez.
You get an S and a T for the price of a Lucid. It's tough. That's a lot of money for an everyday car. Yeah. We have no idea what the resale is.
Good point.
No idea. And it's a very, very expensive thing, and they can't really build them fast enough either. So, but you'll see our review coming out. In general, I like Lucid. I think they've made a lot of smart decisions, and they're interesting cars that are fun to drive.
Mm-hmm.
They're cool daily drivers. Ryan Morris, any last question for this show? Any anecdotal experience with Macan reliability? I'm looking used 40 to 60,000 miles. I have heard from people who have had them that they leak.
Oh.
When they start getting up there in miles, the seals, they leak oil, they leak trans fluid, and stuff like that. So that's what I would look out for. That's what I would make sure is good to go. I would make sure any car you were looking at to get a PPI, have them put it up on a lift, check for leaks, check for the seals, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're nice to drive, and the big things hold up well, but what I've heard a couple of times, my friend Nick had one, it started leaking when it was still under warranty. They fixed it. I've heard other people talk about them leaking, and so it's anecdotal. I would check other sources and forums and stuff like that. I certainly like Macans a lot, but I've heard they leak.
All right.
That is our show. Do we have what do we have on the schedule next week?
Oh, we do have stuff on the schedule.
Route
Mitch
Divine.
McKee?
Oh yeah, Mitch McKee. Mitch McKee is of M Engineering. M Engineering is they're getting big. This guy is apparently just a fucking genius. He has some very fast McLarens. I think the fastest McLarens in the quarter mile ever. He does a lot of Porsche tuning, Porsche turbos. He works with BBI. He works with Demand. He works with a whole bunch of people that we know and trust, all of whom have said that this dude is extremely, extremely legit.
Cool.
And so you'll be able to ask your tuning questions, and maybe I can help him. Maybe we can figure out how to fix the only problem with my car, which is that the sport mode on the Demand engine is married to the auto blip function. So you can't engage sport mode without having auto blip enabled. So Rick said there's nothing he could do about that, but maybe Mitch has a way to change that.
Well, Mitch, he has his title on his website as Archbishop of ECU Architecture. So maybe he can architect that.
Like 10 people that I really trust say that this is the guy.
I wasn't trying to make fun of him. I trust the people that you've mentioned.
Yeah. So this is the guy. So he's coming in next week.
Also, Ed Bullion.
Oh yes, of course. Ed
Tuesday.
Bullion will be joining us virtually. He will not be in studio, but talking about Car Trek, talking about VinWiki and all those things. Ed always has good stories. We love hanging out with Ed. So that's coming up next week. I hope you've all, by the time you hear this, it'll be New Year's. So I hope you've all had a happy New Year and stick with us for 2023. Thank you to all of our patrons. Of course, experiences.roadandtrack.com if you want to come drive with me. Route Divine, February 14th to 17th, and then the Smoky 600 in the Smoky Mountains, June 6th to 9th of next year. It's going to be fun. We'll see you guys later. Bye.